They say Elvis Presley never really left. In Tennessee, that's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just something people say with a half smile, like they're not entirely joking. This happened to me 3 Decembers ago. It was 3 nights before Christmas, cold enough that the air felt sharp when you breathed it in. My mother had been asking me to come over more often. "Don't wait until I'm gone to miss me," she'd said on the phone that week. I told her I'd come by soon. I always said that. That night I was driving home late after a long shift, the roads mostly empty. I took a shortcut past an old drive-in theater outside town that had been abandoned for years. The screen still stood, pale and cracked, like a gravestone for better times. But as I drove past, I noticed something strange. The drive-in was lit up, not brightly, just enough that I could see cars parked in rows facing the screen. Old cars, chrome and fins, shapes from another decade. And on the giant outdoor screen, a title flickered, Black Christmas, 1974. I slowed down. That didn't make sense. The place had been closed for as long as I could remember. The ticket booth was usually boarded up. Yet tonight, warm yellow bulbs lined the entrance, glowing soft and steady like they'd never gone out. I don't know why I pulled in. Curiosity, maybe, or maybe something else. As I drove closer, I noticed the cars weren't just old, they were pristine. 1950s Cadillacs, classic Chevrolets, not a modern vehicle in sight. And the people sitting inside them, they weren't moving, just silhouettes against the screen. The movie played silently, snow falling, that eerie, unsettling mood Black Christmas is famous for. A sorority house, a phone ringing in the dark. I parked near the back. The engine ticked as it cooled. The air felt heavier inside the drive-in, almost warmer than it should have been in December. I stepped out of my car. No one acknowledged me. The wind carried faint audio from the screen, distorted voices, barely audible. The unsettling phone calls from the film whispered across the lot like they were traveling through something thicker than air. Then I heard another voice. "Boy, you picked a strange night to wander in here." It came from behind me, low, smooth, familiar. I turned slowly. He stood beside a black Cadillac, leaning casually against it like he'd been there the whole time. White jumpsuit, high collar, sideburns sharp as a blade. Elvis Presley, not a look-alike. Not a tribute act. Him. His face wasn't young Elvis from the 50s. It wasn't Vegas Elvis either. It was something in between, like every version of him at once, layered softly over each other. I couldn't speak. He smiled faintly. "You look like you've seen a ghost." The thing about meeting someone famous, even impossibly famous, is your brain tries to rationalize it. I told myself this was a dream. Exhaustion. Maybe I dozed off behind the wheel, but the cold air felt real. The gravel under my boots felt real. "Elvis?" I finally managed. He tipped his head slightly. That's what they used to call me. On the screen, a phone rang again in Black Christmas, that long, unsettling shriek. "You know this was my favorite horror picture," he said, nodding toward the screen. "Creepy little thing. Folks don't realize horror ain't always about blood. Sometimes it's about what you didn't do when you had the chance." His words felt heavier than they should have. I glanced around. The people in the cars were clearer now, faces faintly visible in the dim glow. They weren't watching the movie. They were staring straight ahead, frozen, eyes open. "Who are they?" I asked. He looked out across the lot. People who thought they had more time. A chill slid down my spine. "I don't understand." He studied me quietly, like he was deciding whether to say more. "You got a mama?" he asked. The question hit harder than anything else that night. "Yeah." "You see her much?" I hesitated. "Not as much as I should." He nodded slowly like he already knew the answer. "When I was alive, I loved my mama more than anything," he said. "But even love don't stop time. It moves whether you pay attention or not." On the screen, a character in Black Christmas walked alone through a dark hallway. The tension thickened. I noticed something then. The silhouettes in the cars were flickering slightly, like film burning in a projector. They all thought they'd call tomorrow, Elvis said quietly. Visit next week. Spend time when things slow down. The flickering grew worse. One of the figures in a nearby car turned its head toward me. Its face was hollow, empty, just dark space where features should be. I stepped back. The drive-in lights dimmed. You're not really here, I whispered. He smiled gently. That's the funny thing about regret, he said. It feels real enough. The movie on the screen distorted suddenly. The image stretched, warped, and then I saw something else reflected there. Not the sorority house, not the film. My mother's house, dark, silent. An ambulance was parked outside. My chest tightened. That ain't set in stone, Elvis said softly, but time don't wait on anybody, not even the king. The silhouettes in the cars began dissolving one by one like smoke pulled into the night sky. The drive-in lights flickered violently. Go see your mama, he said. His voice was no longer smooth. It echoed, layered, like it was coming from everywhere at once. Don't let regret be the last thing you hold. The screen went black. The light snapped off. The cold rushed back in like something had broken. I was standing alone in an empty field. No cars, no screen, no drive-in. Just weeds and broken asphalt. My car sat behind me, engine cold, as if it had been parked there for hours. I drove straight to my mother's house. It was almost midnight. She answered the door in her robe, confused but smiling. You okay? She asked. I hugged her tighter than I had in years. I just didn't want to wait, I said. That night when I got home, I looked up the abandoned drive-in online. It burned down in 1977, the final movie it ever showed. Black Christmas. And the article mentioned something else. Elvis had planned to visit that theater once, but he never made it. They say Elvis never really left. After that night, I'm not so sure that it's a joke. Sometimes the dead show up not to scare you, but to remind you what you still have. For more scary stories, check out the link in the description.